Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here. Oh, gosh, I've been looking forward to hanging out with you guys this evening or morning in my case. It really gets so confusing. Like, that's one of the things about being in Japan that I will not miss is like having to do the mental time zone math all the time. So hey Oz, hey Jamie, thanks for coming, guys. Yeah, if you're here, let me know in the comments. Say hi in the comments. Let me know if you can hear me. Um, I'm it is Saturday morning here, and I just got up and made myself my array of beverages for this chat. Hey Ben, yes, thank you. Yes, my weekend is off to a good start. I hope you're doing well as well. Hey Charlie. So yeah, it's all the usual suspects. Thanks for coming out, guys. I hope you all had a great week. It was a very busy week for me here. Hey Seth, happy Friday nights to you, and may you have a happy Saturday tomorrow morning. Yeah, so the inspiration for these live chats is I've talked about this before, but author Sarah Cannon on YouTube, she does weekly coffee chats. Hey Jim, no, not so far. We'll see, but probably not. Yeah, she does weekly coffee chats, and I'm not a coffee drinker, but like it's such a like catchy name and such a great concept. It's like, hey, grab something to drink and come hang out. So weekly Red Bull / protein shake chats don't have quite the same ring to it, but I do want to invite you guys to grab, if you would so choose, grab yourself a beverage, adult or otherwise, no judgment here. And let's hang out, let's talk. Oh, hang on, let me do this real quick. Boom. Okay. Yeah, so I have a couple of things that I want to talk about today, but mostly this is just going to be sort of impromptu and off the cuff. So I hope you guys will forgive me if I sound a little babbly. Yeah, okay, good. It looks like everyone can hear me. That's awesome. Sweet tea with me. That's a great title, Ben. Yeah, definitely call dibs on that one. I also don't drink sweet tea or tea of any. Well, I guess I drink herbal tea, but that's it. But yeah, I don't know. I have to think of something, beverages and bitching. I don't know. That's probably not a good one. But anyway, today I am. I should show you guys this. You'll appreciate this. So this is my energy drink. Look at this badass. Like it's like silicone, right? My friend Danielle Pope gave this to me. But yeah, it's like a silicone tumbler, and it's got a Huey on it. Isn't that cool? So yeah, I thought you guys would like that. So big week. Thank you all. It was a fantastic launch week for Skies to Conquer. I'm very happy with how well that's done and how much buzz that's gotten. If you've left a review, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't left one, please do consider doing so because it is very helpful to authors, to let people see more about our work and get it out in front of more eyes and stuff like that. So yeah, please pick it up if you haven't, if you're interested, and leave a review on the website or on Amazon. I'm sorry. I've got like all these other things over here on my monitor. The motion keeps drawing my eye. You guys curious about where I am? So this room that I'm in is it's oh yeah, Jim, that's true. Yeah. So this is a valid comment. So due to Amazon's algorithms and stuff, sometimes it'll penalize us if people we know, even if you met us through our books, has left a review. So I would say leave the review, and if it gets pulled, it gets pulled. But yeah, it's encourage your friends to leave reviews too. That sharing and stuff always helps. So howdy Jeff. Hey Dan, good to see you guys. So this room that I am in, I was going to tell you guys a little bit about this. This room is was my oldest daughter Coriel's bedroom. And she has suffered the fate of millions of young adults before her, where she goes out into the world and realizes that her family has plans for her space. So I've moved my computer setup in here to what was her homework desk. And then you can see behind me, that's actually her makeup station. That's where my youngest daughter does some of her schoolwork sometimes. So poor Coriel's room is being converted to an office / storage room. And she's like, what the heck, man? So that's one of those that file that under one of those things that they don't tell you about growing up. You know what I mean? Like, what happened to my stuff? What happened to my space? You know, it's like, sorry, kid, you can go make your own space out in the world. So she might stop in here. She was here last week. She's currently a freshman at East Carolina University, and so she has, you can imagine, Friday nights for her are probably a little busy. You know, I try not to think about that too much. But some of you've met her. You know, she's a pretty good kid, good head on her shoulders. So cool. Some exciting news this week. It's not necessarily my news, but I did want to take a moment to mention congratulations to my dear friend Melissa, dear friend, sister in arms, fellow nerd. Melissa Olthoff just released her first novel, Sunrise Over Shippo. And if you're looking at that and going, man, that looks like a Salvage cover, you are absolutely right. This is set in the Salvage universe, Kevin Steverson's Salvage universe. And but it is Melissa's debut novel, and she is a fantastic writer. She's published several short stories already with several of Chris Kennedy's imprints. Yeah, highly recommend. Go check this out. Support a brand new author. Let's get her an orange tag, guys, because I think we can absolutely do it. She's phenomenal. Yeah, so I'd really like to encourage you. You know, I will leave a link. Actually, if one of you guys wants to be like super awesome and pull the link off of Amazon and throw it in the chat, that would be super helpful. So that people can see it, because clean link, please. Again, talking about Amazon and their policies. But yeah, that would be very helpful if someone wouldn't mind doing that. So yeah, so congrats, Melissa. Looking forward to many more wonderful novels to come. And yeah, just super proud. So all right. So let's see. This week I've been working on a short story for Marisa Wolf. It is tentatively titled A Sense of Purpose, and it is thank you, Jim. Here's the link, guys, to Melissa's book. So yeah, thank you for putting that out there. So my work in progress this week I'm working on my short story tentatively titled A Sense of Purpose, and it is a short story set in the Hit World universe for the upcoming Hit World Valkyries anthology. I'm very excited about this one. I feel like I say I'm very excited a lot. I probably say that too much, but I don't know, like I don't know how else to describe it. It's a fun story. I've had a lot of fun writing it. It's set in Alexandria, Virginia, which is a really cool town if you've never been there. I lived there for several years, and yeah, it's just a ton of history, a ton of like atmosphere and personality. I don't know how to say it. A ton of snobby people too. There's some of those that live there, but it's one of those places that has its own. It definitely has its own like sense of place and sense of personality. So that's why I decided to, you know, make my heroine from there, or at least she lives there. She's not really from there, but and set my story there. So kind of a museum heist type story. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Have to get back to work on that and finish that up for Marisa here before the end of the month. I think the due date's 1 March. She'd probably let me fudge maybe a little bit, but I don't really want to do that to her. So trying to be a professional, make my deadlines, stuff like that. So, but yeah, so I'm working on that. And then starting on March 7th, I get to start my my SkillBridge internship. And this is something that's super cool. A few of you guys may have heard me talk about this before, but DoD SkillBridge is a Department of Defense program that exists to allow transitioning service members like yours truly, who are getting ready to get out of the military, whether they're separating or retiring or whatever. This program allows us to do an unpaid internship during the last 6 months of our active duty time, with the objective of this internship helping us, get some kind of employment, post-military employment, whether it be a job offer that comes out of the end of it, or, a resume credit that will help you be more employable, or whatever else. And so I was thinking about it and thinking about my writing goals and thinking about, kind of what I want to do with my writing career and some of the direction I want to go. And I ended up approaching my publisher, Chris Kennedy, to see if he would be interested in letting me do an internship where I start a new property, a new project with him. And so we got together, we worked out the details, made sure that it met the intent of the DoD program, and we submitted for it, and we were approved. So starting on March 7th, for 3 days a week, my job for the Air Force will be to write content for Chris Kennedy. Well, I shouldn't say content. It's not like social media stuff. It's a book, right? I'm writing a book, but it's a new book, totally different property, totally different IP, something you guys haven't seen before. And I've been pretty closed-mouthed about what it's going to be, but I thank you, Charlie. I'm very excited. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, it is very exciting, and it's really just a hell of a deal, right? Like I that's one of the things I think the DoD has gotten right when it comes to retiring their or transitioning their service members. Yeah, absolutely, Jim. It's a great opportunity, and I mean, like, people can do this in all avenues, all walks of life. I know another friend of mine is retiring this spring, and she was able to utilize this program to set up an editing internship with a major publisher. So that's great, right? Like, there's I know people who have done or I don't personally know them, but I know that there are people who've pursued like aviation training and things of that nature, corporate internships, all kinds of really, really great stuff, really great opportunities. So I'm very grateful, both to Chris for being my internship provider and for this program, this DoD program. So I'll start that on the 7th, and what that's going to look like for me is that 3 days a week. So because I'm in Japan and I'm not planning on like going to the States before like my retirement ceremony, before I start my terminal leave, we set it up as like a virtual internship, and per the request of my commander, we made it so that it's kind of part-time. So 3 days a week, I will be writing for Chris, and then I will fly on Thursdays, and then Friday will be like my office and appointment day. So I'm interested to see how this like schedule goes, how that works. I'm hoping that I'm able to set up a habit of, good productivity on those 3 writing days, and let's get this done, right? We'll get this new book written. So sorry to like vague book you guys about it, but yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think you guys are going to like it. So I'll release more information about it as we go along. So that's kind of my big news, is getting ready to start that. Otherwise, as far as like the transition is going, so one of the things that I really do want to talk about on this channel is kind of like how, that whole process is going. And I am obviously not the first person to ever retire from the Air Force, although there are certainly days when it feels like I am, because it's like, why hasn't anybody figured this out yet? Why isn't this easier? I mean, So Jim wants to know if I've transitioned all of my flight certs to the civilian side, ATP, etc. So that's a really good question. I do not have, so ATP stands for airline or air transport pilot. That's that is the civilian flight rating that you need in order to be an airline pilot. I do not currently have an ATP, mostly because I don't have the number of fixed wing hours that it requires to get an ATP. However, there is an equivalent rating called the ATH, which is essentially the same thing, but for helicopters. I don't have that one either, but I have taken the test for that one. And so when I go back to the States, if I decide to pursue getting an ATH, I'll just have to basically qualify in and take a check ride in the civilian aircraft that I would be operating, in a civilian helicopter that I would be operating. That being said, all that is required for my the jobs that I am pursuing is a commercial helicopter certificate, and I do have that. I also am I've also taken the military competency test so that my instructor, so that I can translate essentially my instructor qualification as a military instructor pilot into an FAA certified flight instructor certificate, which I also have done. So yes, everything that I am qualified for, Jim, I have the FAA certificates as well. And that was part of my prep for getting out, which, that kind of dovetails with what I was talking about as far as like documenting this transition. Is that something that you guys are interested in? Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to talk about kind of what sorts of things that I did in what sorts of things I did in order to get ready to do this, this big change in my life, right? They use H model Hueys to fight forest fires in Oregon. Just saying, they do, and it is badass. That is one qual. So when I first started flying in the Air Force, first couple of years I was in, Vandenberg Air Force Base in California still had N model Hueys, the aircraft that I fly, and those guys would get a fire bucket qual because they would help with the firefighting, and it was very, very cool. I really wish I would have had the opportunity to pick up that qual before I got out, but they shut down Vandenberg. Gosh, it's probably 15 years ago now. Vandenberg's still open, but the Huey unit there went away quite a while ago. Yeah, it's probably 15 years ago, maybe more, because I think Corey was a baby. So one of my girlfriends, a couple of my girlfriends actually were at Vandy and had the chance to do fire bucket stuff, which is that's serious business, man, serious stuff. So okay, cool. So that's interesting. Dan says transitioning was a pain in the butt and I wasn't in for very long. The 6 to 8 months after I left was stressful until things fell into place. Yeah, exactly. Right. So that's one of the things that I kind of want to address on this channel is like, how do we make this easy on ourselves? How do we build up our community so that we can, utilize our connections to get employment, find a place to live, set up a new life, figure out how to live a new life, figure out how not to swear at people all the time. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's, this is arguably like the biggest change in my life, maybe not quite as big as becoming a mom, but in some ways, yeah, it is. Because even when I was a mom, like I was in the military, I had a steady job. I knew where my money was coming from. I knew where my healthcare was coming from. I knew where, I didn't have to worry about where am I going to live? Do I need to move to find a job? Like that was all figured out for me. I just had to figure out how to be a parent, which admittedly is freaking huge, freaking huge change. But now all of that stability that I've counted on for pretty much my entire life since I was 6 years old, you guys, because when I was 6, my parents joined the military and then I became a military brat. And so, this sense of this entity that, Dan, reduction and swearing was definitely an adjustment. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. Like tax changes, the fact that fully half of my income right now isn't taxed, you guys. And realizing that I can't just get a job that makes what, my base pay is going to be, because that doesn't account for things like flight pay and housing allowance and these other benefits that military members earn that aren't taxed, So, Ben says he's currently in the learning how to be a parent phase of existence, so he knows how we feel. Yeah, it's a big change, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like it's my entire world is reordering itself, and I am hoping to have some input into the reordering of it. And so, like for me, I've always been a planner, right? So my one of the things that I've tried to do is really kind of look ahead and see, okay, what is coming up? What do I need to make sure that I have, in a row before X deadline? So like, for example, one of the things that I'm doing is I'm applying for VA disability benefits. There's a program called Benefits Delivery at Discharge where you can actually put in your claim information before you get out, and they'll process it. It goes through like a slightly different processing group, I guess, with the intent of as soon as you're effectively no longer on active duty. So for that would be after my terminal leave in August. You start getting your benefits income if you're entitled to any. So, that's. But all of that requires forethought, right? And collecting data and collecting documentation for like my medical stuff and all that. So, so that's just one part of it, right? Is trying to look out and plan ahead and make sure that I'm able to get all of the things that I need so that I can do that in time so that I qualify for this program of benefits delivery, discharge, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just one aspect, right? I'm also looking at how do I move, now the military will move me to my home of choice, which is going to be the Richmond, Virginia area. And Jim goes, take a hard look. Yeah, Richmond, Virginia totally does. I will be honest with that. It is not the best tax situation that we could have asked for, but we've decided to make that area our home for other reasons, mainly family related. So we probably won't be there forever, but that's where we're going to be for the near future. So, sorry, just lost my train of thought there. Yeah. So, looking at like, okay, the military is going to move me there, but I still need to be able to know, I'm not going to be living near a base. So which office do I need to correspond with? Who, what contacts do I need to make ahead of time while I still have access to things like, the DoD email system and stuff like that. Even just things like, what do I wear? Right? Like, do I have a professional wardrobe? I mean, you guys, when I'm not at work wearing my uniform, my professional writing wardrobe pretty much consists of leggings and sweatshirts, which is why you guys see me in workout gear so often. But like I gotta buy a few professional suits so that like if I go on a job interview, I don't look like a scrub, And I mean, I know that these are things that everybody talks about, but also just stuff for me, right? Like what do I need for my own well-being in order to get through this time of increased stress and increased uncertainty, and to make sure that I am doing as well as I can, that my family is doing as well as they can, because it's a big change for all of us. So. Professional wardrobe, that's called cover my camera, John says. That's awesome. Do a lot of teleworking, do you, John? Oh man, Oz, you're the greatest. Jim says, and make damn sure you get a certified copy of your medical records before you retire. Also, find the nearest VA hospital and do not use the main hospital in DC. It sucks. Okay, good to know. We may have to talk more about that later. I think there's a VA facility in Richmond. I want to say that there is, but I'm not sure. Dan says, wardrobe was an entire effort. I needed a tech work wardrobe, an office casual, and an office formal set. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And John says for sure there's Fort Lee, I think is the one my husband always talks about, knowing that like they live close to, because they live on the south end of Richmond. So, but yeah, there's a number of military places around there. So it's not like I'll be like totally cut off. I mean, because I will be retired, right? I'll still have an ID card. I'll still have base access. I could still go to the commissary if I, for some reason, wanted to, things like that. So I won't be completely cut off from that entity still. And I mean, I'm still gonna get my pension, right? So I'll still have money coming in from them, but there's some intangibles too, right? Like I could live anywhere. Now we made the choice to live near Richmond, again, like I said, mostly for family reasons. But I could live anywhere at any point. I could decide to sell the house that we're building and go somewhere else. That's like a foreign concept, since I was literally 6 years old, the United States military has told me where I was going to live, first through my parents and then through my own career. And what's funny about that is that I am definitely not alone. Okay, I'm going to flash this up in case anyone else is curious. This is what John says. Richmond, Hunter Holmes McGuire VA Medical Center is the name of the facility in Richmond. So that's good to know. Thank you. But yeah, I'm not alone in, so if I gave you the actual statistic, I'd totally be pulling it out of my ass because I can't remember exactly what it was, but at some point I read what the actual statistic or what the actual percentage of new accessions to the military, how many of them come from military families. And it is staggeringly large when you consider that military families make up like 1% of the US population. That's kind of less than 1%, really, is what it is. And it's, but it's almost like the majority of the accessions have some family connection to the military, which is crazy, right? And I could do a whole video on reasons why that's alarming to me. But basically it kind of boils down to this, that I dislike the idea of developing a separate warrior subculture. Sorry, my mom's calling me. I'll call her back. Oh. I dislike the idea of developing a separate warrior culture that is somewhat divorced from the parent culture. I think that one of the strengths of the United States military is that we have the citizen soldier concept. So she's calling me back, you guys. This might be an emergency. So I am going to flash up my title slide real quick and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. It is not an emergency. No big deal. So mom had her times mixed up and she thought I was done with the live stream. So sorry about that. I hope I didn't alarm anyone. Everything is fine. Yeah, everything's great. So thanks, Seth. Yeah, my mom is a great lady. So and speaking of transition and stuff, I've been talking with her a lot about this because obviously, she is also retired military and has gone through this process and she's had a lot of really good advice to give as well. So she should be here. I'm sure she would be, but she's busy handling her business too. So, but I'll tell her you asked, Seth. So, That's right. Moms get to do whatever they want. Yeah, smart folks you are. But yeah, so lots goes into, the transition. And again, I know I'm not saying anything that you guys don't know. The truth is, really, I don't know what I don't know when it comes to this stuff, right? So that's kind of why I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride and kind of document this. And this is just one woman's perspective, one woman's experience, but that's kind of what we're here for. So on that note, on the VA front, this week I started that VA claim, benefits delivery at discharge claim, and have been. I've gotten to the point where I'm like uploading documents, and I've got to track down one particular document from a previous or set of documents from a previous duty station that I very, very intelligently got copies of and then proceeded to put in long-term storage when we moved here like an idiot. So there's a lesson learned for you. If you're going to retire from overseas, don't leave your important documents in long-term storage. I mean, obviously I've kept it, but I was like, oh, I'm not gonna, why would I need this? Totally forgetting about the fact that I was gonna be starting this process while I was still here, right? So yeah, Dan's absolutely right. Keep copies of everything, keep it, scan it, keep it on the cloud, keep everything. So the good news is I can get a copy of the things that I have in storage. It's just a matter of reaching back to the medical providers I worked with at the time. So just, going to take a couple extra days, no big deal. So that's one thing I started, starting the SkillBridge internship next week, like I talked about. Our house is coming along. I haven't yet gotten our weekly update from our builder, but a very good friend of mine's beautiful wife sent us a picture of our neighborhood, and they're doing the framing for our townhouse right now. So that's super exciting. I can't wait. So that, again, that's coming along. As far as the job is concerned, it's still a little too early so when was it? A couple of months ago, I reached out and put in an application for one of the EMS jobs in the Richmond area, knowing that it was way too early. Like I knew that they couldn't be like, yeah, we'd love to have you come work for us. We'll keep this vacancy open for over a year. Obviously that's not going to happen. And that's exactly what did not happen because the recruiter reached out to me, and he said, he thanked me for my application, complimented me on my resume, said that, all of my credentials look really good. But exactly that, since I wasn't going to be available until next summer, they couldn't hold the job for up to a year, almost a year. So he did say that they would be interested in talking to me about future opportunities. So now, really my objective with that whole exercise was to make contact, right? And so now I'm just waiting until probably later this spring, maybe May timeframe, because we will have my retirement ceremony in June, move back to the States in June, and then I've got terminal leave in July and August, and terminal leave in July, and at some point in July and August we'll move into our new house. And I really wanted to have that completed before I started to try to go to work again, That's a great point, John. And I'm going to flash that up here in just a second and talk about that. And then, so that's that's kind of the situation on that front is I'm waiting. What else? Transition wise, there was something else that I was going to tell you guys about. No, I can't think of it. I'll include it in the next update because it's gone. I totally lost it. I'm going to do this one first, John, and I'll come to yours. Will I make LibertyCon? I don't know. So currently I have a room and I have a membership. What I don't have are the dates that I will travel back to the US, and they're very close to the LibertyCon dates. So much depends on what date we get booked for the flight coming back to the US. I should find that out hopefully beginning of March, but we'll see. That's the point I was going to talk about is I've begun the process of like doing like the pre-move counseling and all that kind of stuff for getting my stuff moved. It's going to be interesting because I do have things in long-term storage. Like most families who serve a tour overseas, there's a provision to store some of your stuff. So when we go to the new house, not only will we be getting our household goods from this house, but we'll also be getting our household goods that have been sitting in storage for 3 years. And so I'm kind of looking at setting up all of those different transactions, I guess. And that's the other thing is that was really what I was thinking of when I was like, okay, where is the local office? The local, we call it TMO, Traffic Management Office, that handles military moves, so that I have a touch point for, who I can call to make appointments with and check on statuses of things and call if I have any problems, because there's unfortunately always problems with military move. The only time that I have not had like serious complaints was when we moved here. The Japanese movers are amazing. They're so fast and they're so nice and they're so like careful with your stuff. So it was we'd had such a bad experience moving to Maryland before that it was like a very stark contrast of that. So this is what John had to say that I mentioned. The emotional separation can be the hardest part of the process. And I know that that's very true. So honestly, that's a large part of the reason why I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do here with building a community. The friends that I've made online through my writing are, have become some of the best friends in my life. And I know it isn't the same as, the people that you go to war with, but it's no less valuable in its own way. Right. And so I know that there will be a loss. I'm anticipating a little bit of maybe grief is the right word, right? Because, for all of my life, I've been one thing and now I'm not that thing anymore, and I know that I mean, like every time I leave a place, I will leave people behind that I care very much about. It's, again, it's been that way my whole life. So I am interested in what people have found that works for them, right? To deal with this emotional separation that you're talking about here. Jim says there's also the separation anxiety that the kids are going to go through. Yeah. I think my oldest is experiencing some of that herself already, with, going off to college and the sort of natural anxiety that goes along with stepping out into the world. What's interesting about that, though, is that where she's really seems to have found her tribe and her place is in Air Force ROTC. She's involved in the debt there and she loves it. She absolutely loves it. And I hope, it's weird, right? Like it's one thing for me to sign the blank check for myself. It's another thing entirely to contemplate my baby doing it. And obviously I, honor any choice she decides to make with her own life. Honor any honorable choice, I guess, she decides to make with her own life. I wouldn't be super happy if she decided to go be a crack whore or something like that. I admire her for wanting to serve her country. I admire her for pursuing her passion of aviation. But I also am like, I don't want to send my baby to war. Nobody wants to send their baby to war, and this week's events have shown that maybe that's a possibility, Yeah. Jamie says that the feeling of separation is like a mourning, and he says he still feels that way sometimes about leaving the Redcoats. The disaster in Ottawa lately has helped me get over it, perhaps quicker than I might otherwise, though. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, you spend all this time thinking of yourself as one thing, and it becomes part of your identity. And it's not like it goes away, right? Like I'm still gonna be me. I'm still gonna have those pieces to my identity. It's just I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna be like. I don't know what I'm gonna feel. I know what other people have said that they've felt, but I don't know. So Dan says the hardest part was not always having people around to hang out with. Online community has been really helpful. That's really good news, Dan, because again, that's what I'm trying to build here, and expand. I shouldn't say build because I already have a great online community, but it's something that I'm trying to expand and trying to, really, I don't know, have flourish, I guess. I don't know. I'm running out of words. It's not a good, not a good look for a writer. There was something else. Oh, Jim. So again, sorry, we're jumping back and forth, guys. I'm just kind of scrolling through the comments. Jim said, talking about my daughter, I think, third generation military member, not that unusual. We've seen that in my community in naval aviation. Yeah, for sure. Here's the thing. My kid will be fourth generation Air Force. The Air Force is only barely 4 generations alive, right? Like, which is pretty cool to think about. My grandpa wasn't quite Army Air Corps, but he joined the Air Force in a very early stage of its development. And this is the other thing that actually I was talking with my kid about. She's third generation. If she commissions out of Air Force ROTC, she will be a third generation female officer, which is in and of itself unusual. The benefit of that is that like these military families, I had the benefit of my mom's experience when she was telling me, hey, this is how to make things work, right? This is how it works as a female officer. These are some of the things that you're going to have to deal with that your male counterparts are just not going to understand, because those things exist, right? And I won't pretend otherwise. And now my kiddo has the benefit of not only my experience, but also my mom's experience. So I think that's pretty interesting. I hope it's a positive for her. I think that it will be, but who knows? That's her experience to talk about, right? Dan says the hardest part, again, about transitioning out of the military was not always having people around to hang out with. Online community has been really helpful. Oh, I said that one already. Jeff agrees, says, yeah, I'm missing the daily camaraderie. Jim says, you never really leave the community. You will get and make those calls to friends you flew with even 30 years later, usually at 0300. Hopefully they're good calls, like come hang out with me at the bar calls and not I need you calls. But that being said, if anybody that I ever flew with needs me at 3 a.m, I hope they call me, because I'll be there, right? Dan says, I always had 40 plus jarheads to cause trouble with. It was a big drop off. Yeah, sure. Right. Like who's your ride or die crew now? How do you build that? Yeah. Four generations in the Air Force. So my grandpa, he enlisted in the Air Force. I'm not sure what year he enlisted. I'll have to ask my mom. She'll know. But he enlisted in the Air Force, and then went to OCS in the Air Force when that was a thing. Never graduated from college because it wasn't a requirement at the time. And then went to he called bomb strikes, like a FAC A, but not airborne, so a FAC G, I guess. I don't know. But he called bomb strikes in Vietnam. His job title was combat controller. That means something different these days. That's like, special tactics, battlefield, AFSOC, battlefield airman stuff. But that's what he did. And he did that 3 tours in Vietnam, calling bomb strikes. So he called strikes for linebackers 1 and 2, both, which is pretty cool. And then my mother served both my parents, actually, my mother and my father. My mom served 24 years in the Air Force as a JAG. My dad served 20 years in the Air Force as a JAG. And then I will retire in June with 23 years. So, yeah, so if she commissions, that'll be generation number 4. He wasn't, though, because he was in a bunker at Benoit Air Base. is what he tells me. So they had like a radar site there that was like attached to the base, and he would go out there and call strikes from there. He was involved with, and I guess this was like super, super highly classified until it wasn't. But he was, yeah, Benoit. He was involved in some of the first testing, well, and operational testing usage of precision guided munitions, which is also pretty cool. So I read that on his Bronze Star citation. So yeah, my grandpa's a cool dude, real cool dude. So yeah, so there is one question from the Discord chat that I want to get to. This has gone a little longer than it normally does. The question is, how did you choose the audiobook? This is from Nimrod. He's one of the Queen's Fixers in the Discord group. If you're not a member of the Discord group, you should be, right? Come join my mailing list if you haven't already, and you'll get an email with the link to the Discord, which is private just for us. It's part of this community that I'm talking about. And on here, I have a channel specifically dedicated to questions that people want to ask me in this forum. So Nimrod asks, I got a question, I think. How did you choose the audiobook voice actor, or if not chosen, how does that happen? For instance, on the Psyche of War series. So that's a really interesting question, or a really interesting story. Psyche of War came about, the audiobooks. So the first two books are narrated by the amazing Jennifer Jill Araya. She's a Audie nominated audiobook narrator, and she's won a bunch of other awards. And I got her when, and that's Dan. Dan's Nimrod. Okay. I'd forgotten. I'd forgotten your actual name, bud. Yeah. So Jennifer Jill Araya is this fantastic award-winning narrator. And I scooped her up when she very first started narrating books. That's how I got her. So when Minds of Men came out in 2017, it did fairly well. And we started talking, Chris and I started talking about doing an audiobook version. So I think it was 2018 that we got together and we started discussing what we wanted to do. And he put up basically a call for auditions on ACX, which is Amazon's audiobook self-publishing sort of analog thing. I don't really know how it works. Anyway, it's just a thing. He was Macon. That was his call sign. It wasn't my dad. It was my grandfather, my mom's dad. But yeah, his call sign was Macon. That's funny. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Jennifer was just getting started with doing audiobooks as a narrator, but she had a significant background in music, I think, as a music teacher and performer. And she had, more importantly, she had her own like studio, or access to her own studio where she could do like her own mixing and stuff. So she auditioned for the book. We listened to her audition. We liked her. We liked the fact that she could do all the mixing herself. Excuse me. Sorry, I've been really stuffy this week. She could do all the mixing and essentially all the production stuff herself. And so she did the audiobook for Minds of Men and we did that one on a royalty share basis. Because she was brand new and that's what we could afford. So she got a cut of the royalties of of Minds of Men for her payment, right? So then 2 years later, I have written Skies to Conquer, and I really wanted Jennifer again because she was so great it was so great to work with her on the first one. I would call us friends. I mean, I know it's a professional relationship, but she's a really cool person, and I enjoyed working with her so much. And so I don't know, I consider her a friend, professional friend maybe. But she had progressed her career in the intervening 2 years, and but she was still willing to work with us because she liked the Psyche of War universe and the story and stuff. And so we were able to work out a deal for her to do Skies to Conquer, or no, The World Asunder, book 2 in the series. For book 3, she was unfortunately not available. And you guys are probably, some of you are not going to like what I'm going to say. I'm just going to warn you this right here. But my protagonist in the world, or Skies to Conquer, is a Black woman. Jennifer did not feel comfortable voicing a Black woman because she said it felt to her as if it felt to her like she might be, what's the word? Not appropriating, but like silencing a Black voice, or speaking for a Black voice when she did not feel qualified to do that. And I get that. I do, honestly, because, people have their own stories and they have their own voices, and voice is a very like subjective and personal thing. And so I respected her decision, and we, Chris sourced another audiobook narrator who is also very good. I've heard her work, but I haven't interacted with her directly. And so the third book will be voiced by, or will be narrated by someone else. That being said, I still consider Jennifer to be a professional friend. She's still, my favorite narrator. And I think she's great. And if you love audiobooks, you should go look her up and listen to everything she's ever narrated, because she's phenomenal. So, yeah. I thought so, Dan. I thought it made sense. And again, I respect her decision. Especially because she was like, she was very professional and communicated very well about it. Like, this is something that I'm not comfortable with because of, these reasons. And I'm not comfortable with the idea of stealing someone else's voice. Right. Okay. That's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah. So anyway, I would absolutely 100% love to work with her again on another project if I could afford her, because she's done so well that, as she should, her prices have gone up. So that's how capitalism works. But anyway, so yeah, that's how it worked out for us. That's awesome, Dan. Thanks. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I do. Now, fair warning, she narrates a wide variety of genres. So look at the not all of them are probably going to be the kind of stuff that, not all of them are going to be the kind of stuff that you are interested in reading, because some of it's like self-help stuff or whatever. And I don't know, maybe you're interested in that, but just be warned, she doesn't just do sci-fi fantasy is what I'm trying to say. So this is interesting. No, I can't come to you, bud. Sorry. We're going to just go ahead and delete that one. All right, guys. It's been almost an hour. This is, I think, maybe the longest. Right. I mean, thanks for the invite. Yeah, I think this is probably the longest live stream that I've done. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me and having such a great conversation about life and transition and writing. And come join the Discord. Oh, my goodness, Russians. Oh, so many inappropriate jokes going through my head right now. Anyway, come join the Discord, hang out with us over there. I love to interact with people over there. We've got a lot of really good stuff going on in there with Maya Clev is, I don't know how to say her name. I only read it. I don't know if it's Clev or Cleve, but I think it's Clev. But she posts like journal prompts in there. We've had some really great discussions in the past about like the nature of creativity and what we can do to live a creative life. I need to kind of regenerate that. Maybe put some stuff in there about that. Dan is there, like I said, as one of my fixers. So he, keeps keeps things flowing smoothly. So yeah, just come hang out and be part of our group, be part of our community, our clan. Next week, we'll be back here, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And that's what time it is for you guys, right? I don't know. It's like 10 in the morning here. So 10 o'clock Japan time. So, but yeah, come hang out and we'll see you. Once again, congratulations to Melissa Olthoff. Please go read her book. She is a fantastic writer. And if you see her on Facebook or whatever, send her congratulations because this is her first novel and that's a big deal. So, all right, guys, it's been fun and I will see you later. Bye.